The Zetharian fleet hung in orbit like dying embers, their once proud warships reduced to skeletal frames trailing atmosphere and debris. Christian stood on the bridge of the UNSC Defiance, watching the enemy vessels power down one by one. 3 years of war, and it ended here, above a nameless moon on the edge of charted space. "Sir, we're receiving surrender transmissions from all remaining Zetharian vessels," Lieutenant Torres reported, her voice carrying the exhaustion they all felt. They're asking for you specifically." Christian nodded slowly. The Zetharians had learned what every other species eventually discovered. Humans didn't fight like anyone else. They didn't follow the conventional rules of galactic warfare. They adapted, improvised, and refused to quit even when logic dictated surrender. 3 years ago, the Zetharian Empire had made the mistake of viewing humanity as primitive upstarts, easy prey for expansion. They'd been catastrophically wrong. "Prepare a boarding party," Christian ordered. "We'll accept their surrender in person." The Zetharian flagship, Eternal Glory, was a monument to fallen pride. Emergency lighting cast everything in crimson shadows as Christian's team moved through corridors lined with defeated soldiers. They'd laid down their weapons, their crystalline armor dimmed in submission. Each one watched the humans pass with those large, opalescent eyes that had once regarded humanity with contempt. The bridge was a scene of organized chaos. Wounded officers tended to their duties even as medical personnel moved between them. And there, in the command throne, slumped a figure that made Christian's breath catch. Princess Haley Varzeth, the Empire's finest military commander, the tactical genius who'd won 17 consecutive battles before encountering humanity. Her silver blood stained the ornate armor covering her torso, and her breathing came in shallow gasps. The crystalline crown that marked her royal status had cracked, refracting the red emergency lights into fractured rainbows. "Commander Christian of Earth," she spoke in perfect English, her voice strained. "We surrender. All forces, under my command, yield to humanity." Christian approached slowly, dismissing his security team's concerns with a gesture. Up close, he could see the thermal burns across her blue-tinged skin, the way she held her side, where something had clearly punctured through. She'd stayed at her post even while bleeding out. Respect, unbidden, flooded through him. "Your medical facilities?" he asked. "Destroyed," one of her officers answered, his voice hollow. "Direct hit during the final engagement. We've lost primary life support on 3 decks." Christian tapped his comm. "Torres, get me a medical team here immediately. Full trauma kit." He looked back at Haley, whose eyes had widened in surprise. "Tell your people to cooperate with our medics. We'll stabilize who we can. You would help us." Haley's voice carried genuine confusion. "We are your enemy. The war's over," Christian replied simply. "You surrendered. That makes you prisoners, not enemies. And humans don't let prisoners die when we can save them." What happened next would be analyzed by xenopsychologists for decades. The human medical teams worked alongside Zetharian physicians, sharing equipment and knowledge with the ease of colleagues rather than conquerors and conquered. Christian watched as Dr. Sarah Chun argued with a Zetharian healer about the best way to seal Haley's wounds, both of them more concerned with saving a life than dwelling on years of warfare. But Haley's condition deteriorated rapidly. Her physiology was rejecting the emergency treatments, her body going into shock from blood loss and trauma. "We need to get her to a proper medical facility," Chun reported grimly. "The Defiance has the equipment, but we're talking minutes, not hours. She won't survive a shuttle transfer." Christian made the decision without hesitation. He moved to Haley's side, carefully sliding one arm beneath her knees and another around her shoulders. She was lighter than he'd expected, her bones hollow like a bird's, an evolutionary adaptation for a species that had conquered the stars through speed and maneuverability rather than brute force. "What are you doing?" Haley whispered, her consciousness fading. "Taking you home," Christian replied, nodding to his team. "My home, the Defiance. We have the best medical bay in the fleet." The journey through the damaged flagship was surreal. Zetharian soldiers watched in stunned silence as their princess, their greatest warrior, was carried through the corridors in the arms of the human commander who defeated her. Some touched their hearts in what Christian recognized as a gesture of respect. Others simply stared, trying to comprehend this violation of everything they understood about warfare. On the shuttle ride back, Haley drifted in and out of consciousness. During one lucid moment, she looked up at Christian with those vast, unknowable eyes. "Why?" she asked. "We killed thousands of your people. I personally commanded the assault on the Proxima colonies. Why save me?" Christian was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Because that's what makes us human. We fight like hell when we have to, but when the fighting stops, we remember that our enemies are people too. Besides," he added with a slight smile, "you fought with honor. You protected your people to the end. That deserves respect, not revenge." Tears formed in Haley's eyes, crystalline droplets that caught the shuttle's lights like diamonds. "Your species is strange." "Yeah," Christian agreed. "We get that a lot." The medical bay of the Defiance became the site of another small miracle. Human and Zetharian medical personnel worked around the clock, combining their knowledge to save Haley's life. Dr. Chen discovered that modified human antibiotics could prevent infection in Zetharian physiology. A Zetharian healer found that their regenerative treatments worked even better when combined with human stem cell therapy. 3 days later, Haley woke to find herself in a recovery room, alive and healing. Christian sat in a chair beside her bed, reviewing surrender terms on a datapad. "You stayed," she observed. "Someone had to make sure you didn't try to escape," he replied, but his smile was genuine. "How do you feel?" "Like I was defeated by an enemy I never truly understood," Haley said slowly. "We studied your tactics, your weapons, your ships, but we never understood your nature. You fight without mercy, yet show compassion without hesitation. You destroy fleets, then save individual lives. You carried your wounded enemy home when you could have let me die with honor." Christian set down the datapad. "That's the thing about honor. We figure it means taking care of people when they can't take care of themselves. Enemy or not." Haley was silent for a long moment. "When I return to the Empire, I will tell them what I learned here. Not about your weapons or your tactics, about your humanity. Perhaps it will help prevent future wars. Or start a new kind of peace," Christian suggested. Outside the viewport, human and Zetharian ships worked together to rescue survivors and repair damage. It would be a long road to true peace, but in a medical bay where former enemies had worked together to save a life, that road had already begun. Christian had carried the wounded enemy princess home. In doing so, he'd carried the hope of two species toward a better future.